Okay, when we received the letter from Brandon Holthaus, he asked me, look up information for football. Brandon, I have to tell you, the only thing I know that I could find in the record books was what's in the program. But Brandon, everybody I think in Delano was excited at the time because he was going to go to Columbia University. And I was especially interested because Columbia University is supposed to have a great school of journalism. I didn't know anything about baseball or football there. So tonight I'm honored to introduce Brandon as an inductee into football, but I got to tell you something else. Your plaque also says baseball because we know you were going to get in for baseball, so we put both of them in at one time. And I think Arminio Camet, I think yours also says basketball wherever you are. I was never a teacher or advisor for Brandon, but because he married the former Amanda Ritchie, a wonderful former cheerleader during my advising time, I knew for sure he was a smart guy. At DHS, Brandon won MVP for football, basketball, and baseball as a freshman. His sophomore year, he played varsity football, was a varsity baseball starter at pitcher and first base, and played JV basketball. He received his Block D Letterman's jacket his sophomore year. As a junior, he started at quarterback in varsity football and pitched and played first base in varsity baseball. His senior year, he also started in both sports and was awarded the Morris Blanket Award for both sports. Okay, everybody asked me, where's the Morris Blanket Award? Mr. Duran said he was going to try to have it cleaned and put up, but we can't find any place in Delano that will clean blankets like that, so it may be a while. I told him, just put it up dirty, they won't know the difference. His senior year, he won those awards. He was also awarded the toughest competitor by Exeter High School. I think that was because he was the quarterback on a team where I think our line was not too great. I think Coach Brunner that year had, the only thing to do was throw a pass as far as you could. The unfortunate thing, that took about 5 seconds, and the opposing line was always in on top of him after like 1 second. So I don't think he saw many of the ends of those passes. I think he was sitting down most of the time. I'm unsure why or how he got the toughest award, but it may have been because of that situation. For his performance in 2 sports, he was recruited for both by various colleges and universities. He decided to accept an offer from Ivy League's Columbia University in Manhattan, New York. The offer included the Yogi Berra Scholarship with the opportunity to play both quarterback for football and pitcher for baseball. After his 1991 graduation from Delano High, he moved to New York the fall of '91 and played both sports his freshman year. He was able to earn a spot in the pitching starting rotation as a freshman and ended up lettering for baseball. After his freshman year, Brandon really got smart. He decided to concentrate on baseball and give up football. During his baseball stint at Columbia, he was a starting pitcher, receiving Ivy League Player of the Week for hurling a shutout against Navy, and earned Columbia's baseball team's Most Inspirational Player Award his senior year. He had undergone 2 Tommy John surgeries on his throwing elbow, but through extensive rehab was able to return to the mound his senior year. Brandon says the experience of playing both college sports opened doors to meet many people from various parts of the United States. Some are lifelong friends with whom he still communicates. The sports allowed him to travel up and down the whole eastern seaboard from Florida to Vermont. It allowed him to train with the best coaches, such as Tom House of the Rangers, who taught Brandon proper pitching mechanics. It also allowed him to meet people like Yogi Berra, with whom he had dinner one night since Brandon had won the scholarship named after Berra. Brandon says he wants to thank the Lord Jesus for blessing him with his athletic talents and especially his left arm. He also thanks parents Tony Holthaus and Loretta Zaninovich for putting him in sports when he was young and always supporting him in all his athletic endeavors. He wants to thank the many football, baseball coaches who helped him through elementary, junior high, and high school, and he lists people there as Ronnie Joso and Steve Darrington for Little League, Fernando Del Rio for Babe Ruth, Ken Rawson for karate, Stu Collins for the Cecil Avenue Patriots, Raul Tavares for every sport at St. Mary's School, Arlen Hill, Coach Fernandez, and Jerry Saunders for DHS basketball, Nick Kuklis, Bob Leamy, Don Noriel, and those are for baseball, and for football, Coach Sterling Brunner, Coach Seth Williams, who is, Seth, raise your hand so they know who you are, thank you. Don Valdez, Frankie Lerda, and John Brown. He also thanked the Hall of Fame committee and says, I deeply appreciate it. In Bakersfield, he resides with Amanda, class of 1992, and 3 children, Brody, Braden, and Addison. He now serves as senior pastor of Rock Harbor Church. So for football and baseball, we'd like to bring up Brandon Holthaus for his award.
Man, Gary, I don't know how you remember all that. You remember everything. Wow. Again, I pointed out in the letter to Gary all the people we wanted to thank. I wanted to thank, I saw all of the coaches here tonight. Good to see you guys. And one takeaway I want to share with you guys. Growing up in Delano, my father instilled a hard work ethic, and that just carried through. And I think I've heard that echoed with all the recipients tonight, that there was an ethic, a work ethic here in Delano. And whether I was in baseball, whether I was in football with Coach Williams, or basketball with Coach Saunders, or with the Patriots with Stu, there was always this work ethic. And I can tell you this, when I got into college, that Delano work ethic separated the men from the boys. I can guarantee you that. It really drove home the difference of growing up in Delano and working hard. Because when we got to the next level, you could see guys' work ethics fade away. And the guys who excelled were the guys who could work the hardest. And so I want to thank the community of Delano for that work ethic. That's what we were taught as in playing all these sports from our coaches. And it carries on in life, because that's a skill that we can transfer to the rest of life. So again, thank you guys for everything. I appreciate it. And thanks again, Delano. God bless you guys.
I made Coach Morales stay up here because he's the introducer for Oswaldo Orozco, class of 1995. And I think from reading the program and your own personal knowledge, you know the story about his contributions to Delano High sports and to our country. And here's Lorenzo.
Me gustaría que Jorge y Reyes se paren, por favor. I asked the Orozcos to stand because I'd like to introduce Jorge and Reyes, Osbaldo's parents. These are the parents of the young man that gave his life in Iraq for the defense of our country and our democracy. And I just like to introduce them to the crowd here, okay? Yeah. With telling you, I never coached Oswaldo Orozco. I missed out on that. He was a fine young man and hard worker. But I met Oswaldo when he was an 8th grader. He was an incoming freshman in between the 8th grade and freshman year. And because I was the varsity football coach at that time, and he came to work out with us and weightlifting because his brother George was on the varsity football team. He was a receiver and a linebacker on the varsity. And Oswaldo came along with George. After a few weeks of lifting, the coaches were gathered together and we were talking, and all we could talk about was how much of a worker this little 8th grader was, outworking all the football guys that were. And we just talked and admired him. He's a hard worker, very, very fine young person, obedient and followed the rules and everything. Well, I didn't coach him, and then the varsity football team became some other coach's team, but I watched him play, and I watched hometown sports. Well, his first year, he played 3 years of varsity, and by the sophomore year, not much, but junior and senior year looked like they should have named that Oswaldo Hometown Sports, but his name was there for a great best hit of the week, almost every week. And most of the weeks he won it. And And I said, well, what a football player. He had some vicious hits. And then I had him as a student his junior year in the American history class that I taught. And he was a little teddy bear. I mean, a big teddy bear, really. He's 6'2", 230 pounds around there. And he was so nice, so friendly to classmates, to his peers, and obedient, and did everything. Really nice and really smiley and everything. And I started wondering, so how can a guy like this be so friendly, so nice, so kind to his peers, hit like that? You know, usually those kind of things are reserved for people that are trying to get some of their aggressions out of them. But he wasn't. He was. And then, when he was at Cal Poly, he used to come to Early Mart. And his father was telling me that Osbaldo was so kind and so helpful to people that he started the trip driving from Cal Poly, from San Luis Obispo to Early Mart alone, but he never arrived alone. He always picked up some hitchhiker or somebody, and sometimes he even went out of his way, out of his route to Early Mart, and take people to other cities for their home because they needed a ride. And this is the kind of, and it's still, to this day, I don't know how a person could be such a vicious hitter in a football game and yet be so kind and so, okay. Like I said, I never coached, but I know about him. He played 4 years of football at Cal Poly. He was the leading tackler one of those years on the football team. He started for 2 years, his final 2 years. And after he had completed that, he had some invitations. His father told me that he had some invitations to try out for San Diego Chargers and for the NFL, but he decided he'd rather go serve the country, and that's where his end came. And it's my pleasure and honor to present his name, Oswaldo Orozco, to the Delano High School Football Hall of Fame. Thank you.
I thank you for everything, and I love you guys.
Wow. I'm Juan Orozco. I'm also getting inducted, but they call me Johnny. It's wow, because it's an honor for our family. Thank you guys. I'd like to thank his coaches, Coach Williams. We love Coach Williams. Mr. Morales, Coach Noriel, Coach Saunders. Who else? Coach Acala. And anybody that coached them. Mine's went blank. But thank you guys. And one thing that Jason Morales said, he was a workout warrior. I don't know if you ever remember a movie called The Program, and one of the models was balls out. You play balls out. Everything you do in life is balls out. It's either you do it or you don't start it. And you finish it. So thank you guys, and thank you, Mr. Gerard, and the committee, and God bless.